Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. And we have finished the first season of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I am reasonably amazed, right? Reasonably amazed at how much I have enjoyed this, and I have enjoyed it a lot. I wasn't really on board for the first couple of episodes because I expected to hate it, right? I expected to hate it because I absolutely hated Star Trek Discovery. I like the first 8 episodes of Star Trek Discovery, and I absolutely hate Picard. I like the first episode of season 2 of Picard, the ones that kind of felt like Star Trek, right? But Star Trek, I just found these like really unbelievably low quality drama that has nobody really liking it whatsoever. I honestly, I think if you put an episode of Strange New Worlds on terrestrial TV, like if it's not this, whatever, on main TV, not on a streaming service, and put it up against, and then do an episode of Picard, an episode of Discovery, Strange New World would end up getting more ratings than the other two combined, right? By like probably 10 times more. Why? Because it's good. It's actually very, very good. There are some problems with it. There's one character, the helmswoman Ortega, who is basically a male character, cast female, and she's a lesbian with the side of her head shaved, and she's Latinx. Funny thing is, you know, if you are a Hispanic, the chance of you being lesbian is very, very low, and having a size of your head shaved much lower, right? But no, doesn't matter. So that's the only real agenda-driven point going through this series. Other than that, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's this episode in particular. So this episode, you know, one of the reasons I liked it, I found it incredibly respectful of the original series, at the same time being different from it, even when it's riffing on it. Now, Star Trek Discovery, whenever it riffs on the original series, it hurts me, right? I get a knot in my stomach. It makes me sick. Like, I couldn't stand them having the Garden of Forever, right? Turn into a bloke. I hate everything they do. Just seems to like be something so they can show like, oh look, we're really Star Trek, right? When it's so not. But here, it really works. So this episode is essentially Balance of Terror Redux. They get to reenact Balance of Terror. You get to see Captain Kirk meet Captain Pike. That's the biggest problem of the episode. The guy they cast for Kirk it doesn't match my expectations for Kirk. Now, he's a bit light. He's a bit thin. He's a bit wiry. He feels like, I say this a lot during the interview, he feels like the Jim Carrey in Living Color impersonation of Captain Kirk more than Captain Kirk. It feels like he's based on that. Having said that, it's a different character. We are clearly in a different universe, right? This is definitely in a different universe. To me, this is like, it seems to be based on Star Trek, right? Somebody saw Star Trek and said, oh, let's do my own version of Star Trek, and this is what it is. For me, it really works. The references to Balance of Terror are fantastic. The reveal where you see the Romulans look like Vulcans, they have the same music cues, like dun 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 dun, dun. And the lighting there, it's just, I love all of that, right? I quite like the Kirk characterization, and the crux of this episode is, well, one of the crux of the episode is the difference in command style from Kirk to Pike, and how in one situation one may be better, one may be stronger, but it brings that out and shows them both to be valid. I just wish Kirk was a bit better. You know who should have paid Kirk? Vic Montanga, the guy from Star Trek Star Trek Continues, right? Perfect. Although this is supposed to be a younger Kirk, right? Still needed somebody a bit beefier. But the main point of this episode, it wraps up the character arc for Pike that started in the first episode. He's a man who knows his future. The future of he's going to be, in a chair going, ooh, ooh, right, like that, for the rest of his life, and how he's dealing with that. And by the end of this episode, spoilers, right? I'm going to spoil the whole thing. You see an acceptance of his fate and a happiness of it, like a joy in life for it. And also, it ties beautifully into the menagerie, where you get to understand Spock's motivations for stealing the Enterprise there. It all works, right? It all works. Plus, it looks awesome. It looks just ridiculously awesome. It looks redonkulously awesome. I love seeing the bird of prey attack the Farragut. That's one of the best sequences I've ever seen. And being in a pitched battle with Kirk. I absolutely love that. There's a scene where it goes from warp and comes out of warp. It was, I mean, it's stunning. Stunning. The opening scene, I'm going to be talking about it. The opening shot where you see one of these outposts, just stunning. And in a way, it ties into Balance of Terror. So when I was watching it, I haven't watched Balance of Terror for like 10 years. Like, I was like, this sounds familiar to a Star Trek. I've seen this. So that was going on. But it's, for me, as I said, it really, really worked. It worked better than the Orville did this week by a long way. Orville, I feel so bad. I used to love that show. And now it's really just a showcase for how much I deeply disagree with the values of Seth MacFarlane. Just a quick review of the Orville. Starts off, you have the red-headed guy hanging around being a loser, single, having a party with all the rest of the losers who are groomers now, right? And they're committing their loser single life, not doing anything at all of any value. Then, because a weird time travel thing, he ends up living a life and getting married and having kids and having a life of worth and meaning. And Seth MacFarlane shows up and goes, oh no, we got to stop all that, right? And he goes back to being like the rear-race time, and he goes back to being the pathetic single loser who's done nothing of any value with his life that he was. Just like the rest of the crew. I mean, just the values of the show are so opposite from mine. Whereas the values of this show, I think they were of Strange New World. I think they reflect the values of the 60s Star Trek, so I think they somewhat reflect my values too, right? So, as I said, and it looks very, very pretty. Very pretty. So there you go. Strong recommend. Let me hand over. Oh, well, before we get to it, like, share, subscribe, comment, sign up my Substack, sign up to my paid Substack. All those things are Fandabby, a double dozy, a triple dozy, a triple dozy. Thank you very much for doing it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button. All those things are great. Now, let me hand over to me from last night. Trekking across the universe, always going forward. No, we got fine reverse. So, interesting episode. This one, if you don't like it, you're gonna super hate it, right? Super duper hate it. I like it. I really did like this episode a lot more than the more I think about it. I like the series. I like the season. I don't think they had enough episodes. There's one shit character who's basically a male character cast as a woman, which is even more obvious in this episode. So anyway, for me, so much, and we see this a lot in this episode, I got a lot of screen grab. So much of my enjoyment for this show is in its visuals, which are, to my mind, absolutely beautiful. I mean, so every week we went on with a very Star Trek-y whoosh, whoa, yeah, whoa, whooshy, whoosh. Whoa, whoosh, whoosh. And again, don't do drugs, kids. That'll be terrible. Don't do that. But if you do, and you watch this, it's gonna be freaking awesome. But don't do drugs, kids. There you go. Whoosh, Star Trek-y. And listen, I just wish everything was of this quality, but it's not. Right? So, oh God, it's so beautiful as well when it opened up. And again, I'm glad I now I got to go back and watch Balance of Terror. I haven't seen it for a number of years, but it's really heavily ingrained on me because this recreates Balance of Terror, and they bring Kirk and Pike together, and it's really interesting, right? It is really interesting how it works out. But anyway, so we start off, and you don't realize, now in hindsight, is it? We start off with they're in a like an outpost by the neutral zone, and it's just an incredible swirling shot as they go as the this asteroid tumbles. You go up and down, you go around it, so in 360, like whoa, and it's like and you pull back, and you can just see the Enterprise out there. So they're there to refit this colony, right? You can just see the two starships circling it. I turned the camera up a bit so you can see it, and I honestly, I really loved that. It was a great opening shot. So the woman the captain he was sleeping with at the beginning of the first episode, when he had the beard, right? She's captain of the other ship, and he's making. By the way, I like his cooking thing, right? I like that. I like his softball character. It does only recreate it. It pointedly it's not just echoing it. It actually is it. So this is in a different universe. This categorically proves it's a different universe. Mark Leonard is not in this episode, right? Yes. And so his relationship with Shanturi is I gotta rewatch it, right? But anyway, so and it's not like it. It is it. Right? You'll see in a second. So he's hanging out with her, and they made this really good pasta dish. Basically, it was you get pasta and you whisk an egg into it and Parmesan. I thought that sounds good. I thought it was like carbonara, right? So she's asking like how he's doing, right? Because he had this whole thing like he knows when he's going to die, and so what he was doing is making lists of he's worked out everybody that he would save by going through that radiation accident, right? And so he's like, this is my path, I got to stay on it. And then so I think she or somebody else suggests earlier that says, well, maybe you can save them and yourself, right? And so that's basically what he's like planning on doing right now, right? And so they're basically hanging out, and I just a nice character moment, right? A nice, decent character moment. So now they're meeting with the guy in charge of that Romulan of that outpost. Again, I love the neutral zone. All this is really good, right? I think this is excellent. So again, this really I didn't realize, but pretty soon you find out the guy at the beginning of Balance of Terror, who you see on the view screen, is that they hit us with the giant beams Enterprise, and they're coming out, right? So you remember that scene? It's great. Freaking awesome. I really, really like that. So this is that guy, right? But again, it's in a different universe. So he's saying, look, we need but this and we need that. So but we're giving you everything you need, everything else. So his son comes in, who's a super Enterprise fan, like he's asking questions. And he looks up at him and he realizes he's one of the people that is in that radiation accident who doesn't make it out. Like there's two people who don't make it out. And he realized this is that kid, right? This is that person. And he sees how much this kid is like, how genuine this kid is and how excited he is to be wants to be part of Starfleet. But he can't, he can't deal. So he leaves, right? And he's freaked out and he meets number one and she tells him what's going on. And he's looking at it. And he makes a decision, right? He's going to write a letter to all the kids, right? To everybody and said, I love that you like being in Starfleet, but now you have. But I got to talk to you about your father. No, it's not a remake like New Galactica was. No. It's not a reimagining. It's the exact. You'll see. Wait a minute. And they employ a stupid way to get there. You'll see. It's a time travel thing. You are going to see. So he's about to. He starts writing a letter to the kid saying you can't be there, right? And then he says, and then he hears a voice in his room said, it's that's not the best idea, right? It's not a great plan. And you see him, right? And he's wearing the movie, like a version of the movie uniform, and he's from the future. I mean, I like the reimagining of the movie uniform. And I like this. I'm on board for, right? So then we get the titles, and again, titles so gorgeous. Just I love the impulse engines. I just do. They get that so perfect. The deflector and the nacelles. And then whooshy whoosh, whooshy whoosh whoosh whoosh. This is a beautiful shot, by the way. Like all this stuff could be beautiful screen prints. It is just wrong. The color, which color is wrong? Yeah, we'll see it in a minute. It's a reimagining, right? Everything's right. It's a different universe. There's leather patches. You'll see. And then my favorite title is when they have this panning shot where you see the grills of the Enterprise and the like pulsating warp power behind it. So freaking gorgeous. And there's more shots. And then Star Trek. Whee! So anyway, No, his collar's wrong too. Yeah, wait, you'll see in a second, right? So there you go. It's he's got like leather patches on the arm, but it's a recreation, right? It's a recreation of the movie costume, right? And he's like, "What are you doing here?" So the this show always is the weakest when it touches Discovery. Discovery is shit, right? Discovery is the worst shit ever. So he used the Klingon time crystals to come back and stop himself do this, right? It says, because this is end of the universe stuff. And I know you're not going to put your own personal fate in front of the universe. Basically, if he saves himself and the kids, there's a cost to be paid, right? All the collars are wrong. You're right, right? All the collars are. I'm not disagreeing with you. Actually, this collar kind of looks like, but again, you can see the like leather suede on the shoulder pads. Kind of looks like if he took the sweater off, what the young Picard wore as he was like skewered by the Nausicaan Raider, right? It kind of looks like that. So he said, "Yeah, I came over the Klingon time crystal, which I understand is a stupid plot device. I don't give a shit, okay? Because it's not really the point. They can sling. I don't care, okay? So I'm fine with it." He jests at Scars. This is a good reason to stop. He jests at Scars is a great big finish on Bound story. It is freaking awesome. Michael Jason as a Doctor, sort of, which would happen if the Valiant got his way at the end of season 23 and the 6 Doctors' remaining lives. Yeah, and you see how it doesn't work out, that great. Right? So you've got to experience what will happen, right? I can't tell you. You've got to experience it for yourself. That's why I bought this time crystal for you. He's like, okay, and he touches it. And all of a sudden, doing, he's performing a wedding, and it's balance of terror, right? And I just thought it was light balance of terror, right? And he has no idea what he's doing there. So it's like duty. He said, "What's going on?" Said, "You were saying it's a happy duty of a captain since the age of shipfaring that we could marry people, and it's the wedding from the beginning of Balance of Terror, right?" And again, we notice this is now objectively a different universe, right? A completely different universe. And he's like, what's going on? He goes to the bridge. Oh no, they get red alert and they have to go. So he goes to the bridge, and he sees how everything's different, right? This is a original series recreation, right? And my gauge for this is, how would I feel if this was a fan film? And if this was a fan film, I would like it. The first of was it Star Trek Continues or Star Trek New Voyages? Yeah, you got all these. You got the movie Spock and Picard, Spock and Kirk with the original series one. I just liked it, and the city on the edge of forever. Anyway, so he's looking around, and I think she looks hot. I think she's looking good. Her hair still needs work, right? She needs more hair, but other than that, and yeah, this guy, Lieutenant Turker, she is 100% a bloke played by a woman, and it's just, I don't know. Okay, fine, whatever. So there's 2 outposts have been destroyed, and again, I'm like, this is kind of like an episode of the original series. It's kind of like it, right? I couldn't put my finger on it, right? I'm like, what's going on? And he says, and he basically goes and confides to Spock, and Spock's like, I see. Like, he said, but it's more likely you're insane, right? So I got to take command. Said, okay, mind meld with me, and you can see for yourself. So he does a mind meld, and again, this is different. This is not the original series, right? But I like his portrayal of Spock because it's different now. We were 7 years later, right? He's jumped forward 7 years in time, and he's still the captain of the Enterprise. The accident happened about 6 months earlier, and nobody was hurt. Right. So again, he's still the captain. And the mind meld's excellent, right? When he does the mind meld, I like the lighting. It was a simple effect. But then you get to see the accident, and then he's like, okay. And again, I know I keep going on about the visuals. I know I do, but oh god, again, I watched this in 4K on a big screen, and it's so worth it. because you get this like you're in warp space, and it's just incredible, like a shot the Enterprise coming out of warp, and it's so freaking good. Oh, it's so good, right? So they arrive, they're at the outpost, and it's been again balance of terror. It's under attack, right? It's in flames, and they like we got the guy, and it's the guy he was just meeting with, whose son he knows, whose son he saves, right? He says, "Is your son with you?" I said, "No, thank God he's not here." And he said, "They just came out of nowhere. They have some kind of plasma beam, right?" Next is the Trouble with Tribbles part 3. No, we also got Trials and Tribulations, right? That was the Deep Space Nine one. Freaking excellent. That was an awesome one. It's just like Balance of Terror. You're right, Petey Rich. So, but this is like, I love the recreating it. It's like they came out of nowhere. They got some kind of plasma beam, plasma weapon. We're under like lots of we're like, we're deep in the underground and we're shielded, and they still did us with one hit. These, and then a bird of prey decloaks, and it looks like pretty nice. Decloaks, and then it fires the plasma beam. Oh, and that recreation was excellent, right? And the outpost blows up. Lieutenant Ortega is not happy, and it recloaks and vanishes. So then they hear Kirk's on the way in the Farragut, right? And you see, it's the Jim Carrey Kirk, right? Why didn't you get Vic Montagna? He would have been perfect in this. I guess they wanted a younger Kirk, but again, he needed something a bit more bulk, right? And again, fine. So it's a different universe. And his characterization of Kirk isn't actually bad, but it's a different character, right? This is kind of a younger, brasher. This character is less in control, right? This is more of a caricature Kirk, and it's missing the William Shatner performance, which was very broad. I agree with you, but still, it added a lot more to it, right? But still, okay. I mean, it is what it is. So Spock's worked out that how to track the cloak ship. Kirk's like, I like the color of your jib, sir. So they start looking for it. He comes. So he goes and meets with his brother George Kirk. Says, "Tell me about him." He's like, "Well, it's a pain in the ass," but basically gives him a. He says he's okay, right? So then they're able to track the bird of prey, but the bird of prey can't track them. Can't see them. So they're pretending to say we got to follow. This was Kirk's plan. If you got to follow it, it will be like radar echoes. If you match it move for move, right? And then I like his little scanner thing. They do it a little bit differently in this. I do like the changes to the bridge. And they so fine. We have that great scene from Balance of Terror, right? Where he said, "We're fine. I've managed to pick up a transmission, right? It's a log from the bridge." And again, no one's seen, right? No one's seen what the Romulans look like. Da 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 dun dun da dun da. And same music. Completely recreates that, right? Right. So this is an alternate timeline. So I think instead of being promoted to captain of Enterprise, they made him captain of the Farragut. That's basically the idea. And she's like, just like Spock. I mean, but the other thing is, it doesn't look. I mean, like, the Romulans look different to the Vulcans, and nowadays, but never mind. But you get that whole like plot line going on it with her instead. And Spock's like, and he does his best. Fascinating, not that great, but he does his best. God bless him. God bless him doing his best. So they come up with a plan. Again, I love the modern day realization of this. To have it go, they're trying to come up with a plan of what to do. So he comes over, and they have a very good briefing room, right? They go around the whole room, and this is really the point of it, right? They're trying to they decide if they should attack or let it go, right? If they should cross into a neutral zone, if they attack it, it's an act of war. Now Kirk would attack. We know what Kirk would do. It's like you can't let that thing get away, right? Pike has a very different approach, right? But he's hearing from everybody. Spock's like, we need to destroy them, right? We need to destroy them. If they are an offshoot of our of Vulcans, right? they will view weakness, any mercy as weakness, right? We need to strike hard and fast, right? And then again, I love the freaking doctor, right? Freaking love this character. He's very against doing anything that would lead to war, right? And he makes a very compelling argument, right? Ortega is opposite, and then Kirk has an idea. Said, you know what? We can get it to go through the comet trail, and then we'll be able to track it. And at that point, we'll get pinpoint location of it, and we'll be able to take it out before it gets to Romulan space. So that's the plan again and again. Look how nice this looks. So they're going through the comet trail to find it, and it's not there, right? Again, one of the great things about Balance of Terror is you get to see how smart that Romulan crew was. If you're attacking the neutral zone, it's an act of war. Romulans being in Federation space to begin with is an act of war, against the Federation, right? But Pike's thing is he wants to avoid there being a war, right? And he's somewhat pacifist, and that's actually the point driving the episode, which I like. They actually have a point, right? So they're like, so the bird of prey's vanished. He doesn't like it, and it comes out, and it's behind. And it worked out it's behind the Farragut. Again, Farragut looks awesome, right? And there's this great battle scene with the bird of prey and the Farragut, right? And they're trying, and Kirk's like, what was it? Evasive maneuvers, Tiberius 1. It's like all that stuff is awesome. Or Tiberius 7, right? And they're like, get behind it, right? And he's not doing bad, but they get clipped. And that basically takes him out. And he's like, again, is this not the Jim Carrey Kirk? This looks like the Jim Carrey Kirk to me, okay? From Living Color. And now again, they've attacked the Federation. That's an act of war. So man, this is Frozen. It's a pain in the ass. So then Kirk's like, quick, fire phasers at them. They say, we're too far away. We can't get them. And he's like, do it now. He's like, fine, do it. And she fires, and they actually managed to clip the bird of prey, right? I don't know who she is. She doesn't have much of a personality. It's another chick. Anyway, so the bird of prey we're firing at it, and it fires its plasma thing. And again, I love the contemporary realization of classic Star Trek. It's so beautiful to me. It really is. So they fire the thing, and the Enterprise goes through it, right? But it doesn't do any major damage. Well, does a fair amount of damage, right? But not. It doesn't wipe it out. Farragut's wiped out, so they beam overboard. Was it Lieutenant Lan, Commander Lan is the security diva, first officer there, and now she's very, very huggy feely. So 7 years in the future, she's moved on, right? And she said, "Have you spoken to Una recently?" I says, "Well, no one's allowed to speak to her. She's not allowed contact with anyone." He's like, "Right, I forgot." He's trying to work out what's going on. And then again, then Kirk comes on, and Kirk's like, "What the hell? You hesitated, right? You hesitated." Again, it's very hard to get out of the shadow of Shatner. This is a different take on Kirk. I feel like a younger, brasher, more successful Kirk. He's like saying, "But tell me I'm wrong. Tell me you didn't hesitate because you're scared." Yes, I am scared of causing a war, right? He said you can't hesitate in this situation, right? Can't show any weakness, and that's the basic difference between them. They actually flesh out the argument, the difference between Kirk and Pike, and they do it in a way which I think is genuine, right? It feels genuine to both the characters. So anyway, so they hail the Romulans, which they know are in trouble. And again, look like the Jim Carrey Kirk. And Pike says, "Listen, we've been at war for hundreds of years. We've never seen each other, right? We just assume we're enemies. How about this? Well, we'll make a act of good faith. that will, we can stop hostilities and have a ceasefire, right? And Kirk's like, what? And then the Romulan commander responds to that for the first time. And again, not Mark Leonard. This guy's not bad though. I did quite like him. He's like, you're right. This is a great opportunity. So they listen. We'll give each other a 2-hour breather to repair our ships. And then maybe that act of that leap of faith can lead to more, right? So and he's like, and the Roman commander quite likes it. This guy doesn't know. Clearly, Centurion wasn't on this ship. And he said, there you go, I'm taking a chance, doing something crazy. And Kirk's like, yes, based on what I said. So he's like, we got to repair the weapon systems first. They showed weakness. We can't let them, it's a Romulan way to attack, right? Is that there's no way that we can't strike. So then he tells the story of how he knew his, come back. Yeah, how he knew his father, how he died in battle. He said he died for no reason, right? He died for no reason because the commander was new and just it was more interested in glory than being an effective commander, right? He died for no reason because of stupidity. We're going to repair the engines over the weapon system, right? But again, I like that there's actual point to this episode, right? So he's discussing this book, like, why am I here? Why does time crystal bring me here? I'm scared that Kurt's going to go off the rails. That's why I think I got to make things try and calm things down. Then Kurt comes in and says, "Listen, I hear what you're doing. If it goes sideways, I have a plan that how we can get some backup. Can you just give me a shuttle, right? Give me a shuttle." So the shuttle flies off. Meanwhile, Spock frantically in the Jeffries tube trying to repair the phasers. So the 2 hours up, and they start talking again, and they say, but look, maybe we don't have to go to war. And then all of a sudden, this huge Romulan fleet shows up. It's like, what the hell? And the this guy called them, said, look, the Romulan we must destroy them now. They've shown weakness. That was the point of our mission, to see what the Federation would do. And he's like, you prick. And he's like, not going to listen to me now. And he takes them away. So now we got a Romulan commander. And she says, you will disarm now. Surrender to us now. A boarding party is coming over. And they're going to start a war. And the reason they're going to start a war is they think the Federation is too weak, right? Just then, all these ships show up. And they're all with Kirk, right? And so Kirk's got a plan. He's got all the automated ships from the miners around there. And he say, listen, we haven't seen them in 200 years. You haven't seen them. They don't know what our ships look like. But it looks like we have a force that can take them on now, right? So he talks back to the Romulan commander and says, I see you've seen our fleet of Federation Delta attack ships turn up. And I said, so she's like, you're not going to go to, this is an act of aggression on the border. So no, the act of aggression was you guys destroying the outpost. And he said, we have picture and video of it, right? So he says, oh no, that's terrible. He was acting on his own. They make his little bird of prey fly out in front of the fleet, right? And they want him to shoot it, but the phaser control isn't working, right? So they can't they can't shoot him, and he's instead has to sacrifice himself with probably the only 2 black Romulans in the world. Like really, how did the black Romulans end up on the ship? Clearly they knew they're about to go, right? So the Romulans destroy them instead, right? And they say, and so now because they've shown weakness, right? They decide to attack the Federation, right? They even though they got this whole fleet there, and so again, another great action scene. And basically, Kirk throws all the ships, in between them, to slow them down, but they don't have any offensive capabilities. and they get Kirk off, right? And they just manage to warp out, but there's a bunch of injuries across the ship, and yeah, they also didn't know what the Romulans were to balance out. This is balance and terror, right? He's in that they put them for 7 years. So in their escape, there's been a ton of injuries. So he goes to and he gets informed there's been an injury in that he should get to sick bay, and it's quite a good tracking shot of him going around seeing all these people have been killed, and then he gets to where he's going, and it's Spock. Look, he's lost a leg. And Nurse Chadwick, he's basically dead. So Spock, he says he probably won't survive it, but if he does, he won't be the same. So essentially, Spock ends up with the fate that Pike should have had, right? And like Pike's trying to process this. So he goes back and in his cabin is the older Pike. He says, yeah, it's not just that. The Romulans have declared war. Now, because we show weakness, and their armada has entered into Federation space, and so the older Pike says, and this war still goes on today, right? It's still going on today. It should never happen. The best way we had of solving this war was Spock, and he's in a Federation bed, right? As a vegetable, right? It said the universe has a balance, right? If you avoid death, if you avoid it, then somebody else is taken. And Spock has some universe-changing things to do, right? And so, Pike basically hears it. So, look, you can escape it. You can make it to me, but it's not worth it. It's totally not worth it. And he goes, he looked through different timelines, and every timeline where he doesn't die and he stays released, Spock is always a full guy, right? So then Kirk comes in, and you have a nice little coda with them, like said, yeah, we were supposed to meet, right? And knowing these amount of time, it really works, right? You get a feeling that we were supposed to meet, and they have, you have this meeting of the captains. If it wasn't such a wimpy Kirk, it would be much stronger. If it was Vic Montana, it would have been a much stronger scene, right? So then he looks at the time crystal and says, I guess it's time to go back and change things. And he goes back and he sees a letter and goes, delete the letter, just delete, and he decides not to do it. And he looks at where Kirk is right now. As Spock comes in, Spock, I'm so happy to see you, right? And basically, Spock knows that he's saved his life, right? That he was the one who was going to get injured. He basically said, "Look, there's a price to pay," and he says, "Is that why you said you were so happy to see me, Captain?" Right? So Spock knows that Pike is sacrificing everything to save Spock, which again puts the context of him hijacking the Enterprise to take him to Talos 4. Right, it makes it have so much better context. Right, this is where prequels work when it segues into it beautifully. Right, which is really what this does. Right, so Spock susses it out, but then you have this great little scene as he goes onto the bridge, and he knows his fate is he knows he has to die there, or he has to go for that accident. Right, and he knows that if he doesn't, he could live, but he doesn't want. But the quality of life is much better, and his quality of life accepting his fate is stronger. And so he sees number one. He's happy to see her, and he looks around the ship, and he's looks at was it Uhura, and you feel him being happy in his fate, being accepting of it, right? Nobody knows how long we got. Nobody knows what's going to happen when. Just accept every moment as you get it. And it's a great character moment, right? It's a genuine, and it ends the arc that the season began with, and it does it in a really good way, in a really credible way. So then Uhura says, "Captain, we just got a message that the female captain you're banging is coming over. Can you please, you and number one, meet there?" She's about to be arrested, right? Oh, yeah, because it turns out she was arrested for being augmented, and Elorian, or I can't remember what. She was from a race of that descended from augmented people. and she's there to be arrested. And Pike, I mean, like literally physically assaults the security officer. And number one's like, I knew this was going to happen, right? I've known this was going to happen for a while. And she's like, I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah, you will be, right? And he's like, because this isn't over. And she like, and you got him good set up for the next season. He's got personal stakes that he has to save number one. I like this show. Okay, look, it was a damn successful first season. I think it's the most successful first season of Star Trek that we've seen maybe ever. I mean, look, first season of Next Gen, not great, was it? First season of Next Gen was not great. First season of Deep Space Nine was much better, found its feet. First season of Voyager, yeah, it depends how much you like Voyager, right? And then Discovery. Then first season of Enterprise. First season of Enterprise was reasonably weak, right? This is better. This was really firing on all cylinders. So it was a big recommend for me. Like, yeah, a genuine big recommend for me. My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring that little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.